On today's Fast Friday, we are talking about depth of field. Hi everyone and welcome to Pal to Tech. A quick review for any of you beginner photographers out there. To put it simply, depth of field refers to the area of your image that's in focus. The higher the aperture number that you set, the smaller the aperture opening will be, which results in more depth of field, or basically more parts of your image that will be in focus. The lower the f-stop number you set, the larger the aperture opening will be, which results in less depth of field. And that results in less parts of your image being in focus. Now, when you're looking through the viewfinder or the back LCD screen and composing your shot, your Fujifilm camera is always showing you what your scene looks like at the widest open aperture on the lens, which on this lens happens to be f1.4, meaning that whenever you are about to take your shot, you are only seeing the minimum depth of field. It's not until you halfway press down the shutter release button that the camera shows you what it actually looks like. So right now, as I'm looking through the camera, I cannot see the color chart. You see that right there? Even if I have my lens set to f16, it has absolutely no effect on it whatsoever. However, if I half hold down the shutter release, have a look at this. Here it is at f1.4, and now I am rotating the aperture ring and I am increasing the numbers to get up to f16. Now you can see the color checker chart because there's more depth of field because I have a smaller aperture. The problem with this is that sometimes when you're setting up scenes, you want to have more control over what is in focus and what isn't, and to be able to sort of preview that depth of field so that you can make adjustments before you start shooting. So Fujifilm offers a solution for this. It is called the Depth of Field Preview button. The catch? You must assign a custom button on the camera to do this because it's not really hardwired to a button already. So check this out. I'm going to assign my Q button right now. Just press and hold down the DISP back button for a few seconds. Go ahead and find the button or function that you want to customize. I'm going to use Q, and I'm going to change it to Preview Depth of Field. Now let me show you what's going to happen. Okay, so now I have the camera in f1.4. I'm going to press the Q button on the back, and that's exactly what f1.4 will show us. It's the widest open aperture with the least amount of depth of field. Now I'm going to rotate my aperture ring and reduce the size of the aperture opening. This will make my depth of field larger. So now I'm at f16. That's the maximum amount of depth of field I can get with this lens, but have a look at how little depth of field I have. It's still defaulting to the widest open part of the aperture. So now I'm going to go ahead and press the Q button, which has been assigned to depth of field preview. Watch this. I am now pressing the Q button. Here we go. Boom. Have a look at that. I can see exactly what's in the background. I can then make my adjustments. If I want to have less depth of field, I can keep my finger pressing down the button and rotate the aperture ring. Have a look at that. Now the background's getting blurry. Or I can stop down the lens and look, it gets clearer again. Fujifilm's depth of field focus scale. The depth of field focus scale is the little scale at the bottom of the camera. You see that right here? The way you enable it is you go into your wrench, under screen setup, DISP custom setting, and make sure the distance indicator is on. You have choices to put it on for both manual focus and autofocus as well. I keep mine on for just manual focus. Once you have it enabled, you can begin using it. Now, depending upon where you live, you might want to change it from either feet to meters or meters to feet. And the setting for that is also located in the wrench in screen setup under focus scale units. You can go ahead and pick the one that you want to use. And that will then be displayed at the bottom of the screen. You see that? Now, just as a recap, the blue at the bottom of the depth of field scale, you see that right there? That blue area is the full range of your depth of field, or what will be in focus between those two distances. So in this example here, if my subject is between about 4 to 6 feet from the camera, they should be in focus. That's the range that's in focus. Now, you see the tiny little white dot right there? That indicates the exact distance your camera has set focus. And obviously that'll change if you rotate the focus ring. See that? Look at that. Now, if you have your distance indicator also set for autofocus, just like that, and you have your camera set to AFS, then you're only going to see the blue depth of field bar and the little white indicator when you press halfway down on the shutter button. See, right now I don't see it, but if I press halfway down on the shutter button, boom, There it is right there. So that's the white mark, and the blue area is the other parts of your image that are also in focus. And that can be increased or decreased based on your focus setting. So when I turn the focus ring, it shows me the area, obviously the range of my focus right here. And when I rotate the aperture ring, you can see the blue line getting smaller as I open up my aperture wider. Or as I stop down my lens and make the aperture smaller, the blue line, the amount of depth of field, increases. Now there's one more setting on here that confuses a number of people, and that is called pixel versus film format basis. That setting is located in AFMF under depth of field scale. You see that right here? And you can choose either pixel or film format. So what is it exactly? Well, that depends on what you're going to be doing. If you're mostly going to be printing your images, you might want to consider choosing film for the basis. If you're mostly publishing online or viewing them on a screen or a phone, then you're going to want to use pixel basis. Frankly though, I always keep mine set to pixel, even when I do intend on printing photos. And the reason I do that is based on what the camera does when you set either of those two settings. If you set it to film format basis, your camera's depth of field scale will show you that you have a wider depth of field than you would see displayed on the scale if you had had it set to pixel basis. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, I'm going to have it set to pixel basis, all right? Now watch this. Look at the blue line. You see that? That's my depth of field. About 6 feet to 9.5 feet. You see that right there? Now let's go back and change it to film format. Look at that! Look at how much more depth of field I got. You see that? Well, no, not exactly. And that's part of the confusion. You don't get more depth of field, okay? Sorry, there's no shortcuts. You're not increasing your depth of field and getting more from your lens by sticking it in, film format. That's not how it works, okay? The whole film versus pixel basis is just a tool that the camera provides to give you the idea of what the perceived depth of field would be based on your intended output of the photo. Okay, what's happening here is basically a combination of the perception of the human eye and a phenomenon called the circle of confusion. The human eye perceives a greater depth of field when viewing a photo that's printed than it does viewing a photo on a screen, all right? That's as simple as I can make it. Your camera is just showing you the available depth of field. You will not get any more depth of field if you change your basis to print. The only reliable way to increase your depth of field is to either 1, stop down your lens to a smaller aperture, 2, move further away from your subject, or 3, use a lens with a shorter focal length. Well, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video and found it helpful. And if you did, be sure to give it the like and subscribe. I am going to be signing off now. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see all of you in a new video next week. Take care.